Hello, it's Simon here. Welcome to this channel where we're exploring how can we design better tech. We practice and teach user-centered design, and we specifically look at better design, better experience, better UX, better UI, better tech for those that are using your services, platform, or digital product. In this video today, I wanted to discuss wireframing versus prototyping. I think there's like a key thing on that. They are two very different things. Um, each has like a different objective, different reason for being used. They can like support each other, but they can also be used kind of separately depending on sort of where you are in your journey of like creating and developing a product. So let's start with wireframing first. Goal really with wireframing, my understanding and how I've used it kind of for the last sort of 20 years in my work, is to visualize what it is that you're considering to design and build and sort of ship to your customers. Usually they're very rough looking, although they can actually get quite close to what it might look like once it's designed, so can kind of get very tight to a finished article. Sometimes it might even actually be handed over to development without the UI and just labeled up with everything. So there is a spectrum from being like super rough to just a sketch, where it could just be like some shapes on a page that you put in front of someone. So yeah, the wireframing. So they usually are low fidelity. So they're like very quick to iterate on, which is good for changing and evolving and updating as kind of teams within a business align. So they're a really kind of great tool for the design process, and they are like good for overcoming usability issues sort of early on in the process before you get too far down. And often during like developing wireframes, we're looking at a whole range of things really. Sometimes it could just be like ideas. When I said sort of like super rough, we could just be concepting stuff out. Sometimes you can run workshops with people and get those people that aren't like actually necessarily doing the design, but they can kind of wireframe out ideas to communicate their sort of thoughts around how something could work out or potentially sort of move forward. So there's like this sort of ideas concepting, very loose. In the workshop phase, we could be like thinking through sort of user flows and journeys. How does one person get from one screen to another? So that might be a series of wireframes rather than just like one individual page. That's normally a really good approach. When we're looking at the specific wireframe in terms of a page, we'll be looking at like the structure. So like, how is the page kind of laid out? How do all the different elements sit together? Where's the navigation? If we're thinking responsively, we might do wireframe on kind of like desktop, tablet, mobile. What's happening with the nav as we kind of go across these different like devices, and how the product might be experienced for different users depending on where they're coming from. Within that kind of page layout thing, it's a good place to start thinking about, okay, content hierarchy, and like core functionality across the product platform, depending on what it is that you're looking at specifically. So that's like wireframing, really amazing tool. It's like kind of like quite imperative. Very few clients will not use that, depending on budget and time and stuff. Like usually it's good to kind of do this, because when you get into design, it's a whole nother phase and level of kind of fidelity that you bring into what it is that you're working on. So like the wireframing stage really helps you cut out a lot of additional complication during the design process that you don't really like need until you have a solid kind of structure and base. So Yeah, sometimes I think about it as like if you were drawing, if you ever done like life drawing, or you're painting, you like might map something out. You might just put down blocks of color and shade, and then you start sort of sketching out kind of where things would be, and in doing that, you can kind of map out, is this matching what it is that I'm looking at? Is the structures right? Everything in the right place? So I feel it's a bit like that, the wireframing part, before getting too lost in the kind of finite detail that you would get to when you were going into high fidelity design. Yeah, so then prototyping. Okay, prototyping again, very important but different part of the process. This really is where we're kind of like, for the most part, looking to test and experience the user flow of a design. Sometimes they might be like created to support development, to like communicate from designer to development how you might envision something happening, design in terms of the motion or the interaction. How does something like a button look? Is there a little how does that sort of animation actually happen? Maybe elements moving into the screen, out of the screen. So sometimes it's supportive of a design and development collaboration, but for the most part, and how I use prototyping, it's when it comes to sharing what we're looking to design with an actual user, prospect, customer, one of my clients, kind of people using their product. And so what we do when we're doing that, really we're kind of like testing the usability. So we would prototype out a whole flow, and then we're looking to really see, is what we're building and designing actually going to work for the people that we're looking to design for? Can they like achieve and complete the task that we want them to do? Are they able to do the things that they want to do within the platform, product, or service? Is it easy for someone to achieve those things? Does the interface kind of make sense? Is it very clear for them to go from this bit to this bit? Is there a clear sort of next stage? Are there clear labeling, or are they kind of confused? Do they get to a point and then they start like asking questions? That normally means that there's some more work to do with the design. When somebody describes an experience as intuitive and easy to use, it means that they don't have to think about using it. They can come to it, open up their laptop on their mobile, open up the app, and they can do what they set out to do with it. So if someone is like struggling, it's normally means we've got a bit more work to do. So again, similar with the wireframing, these can be low fidelity too. You can actually like test really rough scribbles. With one of my clients over in the US, actually in person, I just had like literally kind of circles on a page that were connected with the sort of elements, and that it was super rough, but it just was enough to communicate like a concept with somebody. So that in itself could be defined as a prototype, but it might also be sort of a very basic like wireframe. Usually with the prototype, there's actually like some levels of interactions that somebody can kind of click on it to go through. You can do that on like paper and super rough, but normally it's like you can work with groups of wireframes to test out a flow too. Doesn't have to be so high fidelity. Often it's nice if you can to get to more higher fidelity for people to when testing on customers and clients, because that can kind of like help them to have less imagination around the experience. But you can equally do it with grey wireframes. You just have to sort of explain they're kind of rough, it's not gonna work maybe as you expect, and most people are okay. It's just sort of, it's a bit of a shock at first, but then they'll get over the fact that there's no color. But so prototyping can be varying different levels. Normally you have a like specific thing that you want to test, a specific number of flows, and you'll look to prototype out that flow. So it'll be like multiple pages, some key interactions across those pages. Someone should be able to kind of scroll up and down if you're doing something more high fidelity. Ideally, you do it in the context of the actual device that they're coming to experience the product or platform, just to give them as much context and make it feel as familiar as it would be if the product was sort of like built. So prototyping, really important part of the stage, and it gives us the opportunity to iterate. Again, we're kind of iterating all the time. We're sharing within the team, externally, outside of the business, and we're just like looking to improve all the time. So that happens in the wireframing stage, when we're looking at individual pages, and through to when we're prototyping and then thinking, how does the experience kind of fit together as a whole. Yeah, and if you miss out either one of those things, that can have like a real detrimental impact on what it is you're doing. So yeah, strongly recommend using both of those in your user-centered design process, user experience design flow, with your teams and colleagues and across the business. Very important parts. Yeah, so I think that just covers everything that I wanted to say. Thank you so much. I really hope that this was like helpful. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. If you've got any comments or questions, please drop us some comments, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. But most importantly, keep asking yourselves, how can we design better tech? Thanks so much for your time. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.